This deep dive is powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you to run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free. Okay, you know that feeling when you land on a brand new online store and you get that instant little wave of doubt?
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, is this website safe? Can I actually trust them with my credit card?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pretty common experience. It happens to almost everyone. And it's something that, we really want to unpack for you today because that tiny hesitation can be a huge silent conversion killer.
Totally. But the interesting thing is, a massive 87% of shoppers say they're willing to spend more with brands they trust. So basically, building trust directly translates to more money for your Shopify store.
Right. And not just that, but getting the right trust badges on your website can actually boost your conversions by up to 42%.
Seriously, 42%, that's wild.
It is. So our mission today is to help you understand how something as simple as a little security symbol or a badge can completely change a visitor's mind, turning them from unsure to confident buyers.
Okay, I'm in. Let's do it. But first, let's back up a bit. What are trust badges, really?
Well, they're basically visual signals on your site that say, hey, we're secure, we're authentic, and you can trust us. Think of them like shortcuts for shoppers, so they don't have to read all the fine print to feel safe.
Right, they just get that instant sense of okay, this seems legit.
Exactly. And the whole concept has really evolved. It used to be that just having an online store was enough, But now shoppers have so many choices, they've naturally gotten way more careful about who they give their information to.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So have trust badges basically replaced those old school security seals, or is it more complicated than that?
It's definitely more than just a simple swap. They've become this whole system for addressing every possible worry a shopper might have, from the second they land on your site all the way through to checkout.
So taking those little niggles of doubt and just squashing them at every turn.
Exactly. Because think about this. 61% of shoppers have actually abandoned a purchase because they didn't see those trust signals.
61%. Oof, that's a lot of lost sales.
It is. And almost half of all online shoppers, 48%, say that trust badges are a major factor in their decision to buy or not.
Okay, that's huge. And you mentioned a case study before. Something about a Shopify store that saw their conversions really jump after adding trust badges.
Oh, yeah, this one was wild. One Shopify store saw their conversions go up by 42% just by putting payment processor logos and security badges near their checkout buttons.
42% just from that.
Yep. It shows you how directly those visual cues can impact buyer confidence.
Okay, so we've established what they are and why they matter. Now let's get into the psychology. What's going on in the shopper's mind?
Well, the thing is, when someone lands on your Shopify store, they're making incredibly fast decisions about whether or not to trust you. I mean, we're talking 50 milliseconds fast.
50 milliseconds? That's nothing.
I know, right? It's barely even a blink. But in that split second, they're already forming an opinion about your site, and that gut feeling can determine whether they stay or bounce.
Wow. So what makes shoppers so quick to judge online compared to a normal brick-and-mortar store?
Well, online shopping creates what we call a trust deficit for your customers.
A trust deficit.
Yeah, think about it. There's that physical distance between you and the buyer. They have to wait to actually receive their purchase. And you obviously know way more about the products than they do. Plus, there's always that fear of sharing payment details online, right?
Right. That all makes sense. So how do trust badges bridge that gap, psychologically?
They work because they send these instant messages to the shopper's brain. Hey, your info is safe here. We're a real business. Other people love us. And you're protected if anything goes wrong.
Okay, so it's like instant reassurance. But do different types of badges appeal to different types of people? Would a younger shopper respond the same way as someone older?
That's a great point. Research actually shows that different demographics do have different preferences. Older shoppers tend to look for those classic security badges and business accreditations, the ones they're familiar with.
The ones that feel like a seal of approval.
Right. But younger shoppers tend to be swayed more by social proof, things like reviews and verifications.
So if you have a younger target audience, showcasing those review badges would be super smart.
Exactly. And don't forget about cultural differences, too. In North America, payment security badges tend to be big, while in Europe, shoppers often look for GDPR compliance and data protection.
It's so interesting how much psychology goes into something as simple as a badge.
It is. And the key takeaway here is that trust has all these different layers. So, to truly nail it, you need a mix of trust badges that address all those different anxieties throughout the customer journey.
Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks. What are the actual types of trust badges that every Shopify store should be thinking about?
Okay, let's break it down into a few key categories. First up, you've got your secure checkout badges and SSL certificates. These are your foundation because they confirm that your website uses encryption to protect customer data.
Right, so that's like Norton, Semantic Seals, DigiCert, Komodo, those kinds of big names.
Exactly. And here's a pro tip. Most Shopify stores do have SSL security built in, but it's about making it visible. You actually want to display that badge.
Makes sense. So what's the next essential badge type?
Next up are payment processor trust badges. These show your customers which payment options you accept and, importantly, that you're legit in the eyes of big financial institutions.
So like the PayPal verified badge, Visa secure, MasterCard secure code.
Yep, all of those. Also, things like Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Shop Pay logos, anything that signals a smooth and secure checkout process.
Right, because those are all instantly recognizable and trustworthy. Okay, what else should we be thinking about?
Then you've got third-party verification badges. These are super valuable because they basically mean someone outside of your business has vouched for you.
Oh, like a stamp of approval from a trusted source.
Exactly. Think the Better Business Bureau, especially in North America. Or Trustpilot ratings showing off all those happy customer reviews. And then there are industry-specific certifications like organic or cruelty-free labels, which are super important for certain products.
Right, so it's about aligning with those values that are important to your customers.
Exactly. Moving on, we've got guarantee and policy badges. These are all about highlighting those customer-friendly policies that reduce the risk of buying from you.
So like money-back guarantees.
Yep, those are big.
Mm.
Free shipping indicators are great too because they address those cost concerns up front. And then free returns badges, those are super helpful for people who are hesitant to buy without trying something on.
Right, it removes that what if I don't like it worry.
Exactly. And the last category is social proof badges. This is where you leverage all those positive experiences from existing customers to build trust with new ones.
Oh, so that's where those reviews come back in.
Exactly. Think verified reviews, badges, industry awards, even media mentions anything that shows you're legit and people love you.
Wow, so many different types. But it sounds like even having all the right badges isn't enough. It really matters where you put them on your site, right?
You got it. Strategic placement is key. It's all about guiding the customer's eye and reinforcing their trust at exactly the right moments.
Okay, so talk to me about placement. Where are the prime locations on a Shopify store for these trust badges?
Okay, so let's think about it in stages. First, you've got above the fold placement. That's the area people see without scrolling.
So like front and center, making a good first impression.
Exactly. Think about placing security badges right up there near your header or navigation bar. You could also do a subtle footer bar with those payment method icons.
Okay, so making those reassurances instantly visible. What about when they're actually looking at a product?
The product page. Super crucial. You want to address any concerns right there while they're considering making a purchase.
Right. Strike while the iron's hot.
Exactly. This is where you can place guarantee badges near the price and that Add to Cart button. It's also smart to put those review verification badges right next to your testimonials so shoppers know those reviews are legit.
Okay, that makes sense. And if your products have specific certifications like organic or fair trade, those should be front and center too, right?
Absolutely. You want those badges right next to the product descriptions so they're immediately visible. Now let's talk about the cart and checkout page.
Oh, the checkout, yeah. That's where things can get a little tense, like, is my information actually secure?
Totally. That's where people tend to get the most anxious. So you want to be extra reassuring in those areas. Make sure to put security badges near the payment information fields where they're entering those sensitive details.
Right, so they see that lock icon and feel like, okay, we're good.
Exactly. You also want to show the logos for those payment processors right next to the options themselves, so they know those methods are safe. And it's also a good idea to reiterate those guarantees, like your money back policy, right before that final purchase button.
So like one final, don't worry, you're protected message.
Exactly. Now, one thing you absolutely cannot forget is mobile optimization. I mean, over 70% of Shopify traffic comes from mobile devices these days.
Seriously, 70%, that's huge.
I know, it's massive. So your trust badge strategy has to be mobile first. That means smaller badge designs, maybe collapsible sections with badges that people can tap to expand if they want more info, and making sure everything's visible without any annoying horizontal scrolling.
Right, because no one wants to be pinching and zooming just to see a tiny little badge.
Exactly. And you know what? Just like with anything else on your website, A/B testing is your best friend when it comes to trust badge placement.
So trying out different spots, different sizes, and seeing what actually resonates best with your specific audience.
Exactly. What works for one store might not work for another. So to test, test, test.
Okay, so we've covered the types of trust badges and where to put them. Now, how do we create a real strategy around this? Something more cohesive than just throwing a few badges up randomly.
You're exactly right. You want a strategy, a system that builds trust throughout the entire customer journey.
Okay, I like that. But where do you even begin?
The first step is to audit your current trust signals. Basically, take a good look at your site, page by page, and take stock of what you've already got.
So like a trust badge inventory.
Yeah, exactly. What badges are you already using? What guarantees are you offering? Where are those security indicators? And importantly, where are the gaps?
Where those little doubts might creep in.
Yep. Once you have that baseline, then you can start to identify those trust gaps in your customer journey.
So mapping out the entire journey a customer takes, from the moment they land on your homepage to adding items to their cart, to actually checking out.
Exactly. And at each stage, ask yourself, what could make a customer feel more confident about moving forward?
So like on the homepage, do they instantly know you're a legit business? On the product page, do they trust the product descriptions?
Exactly. Then, in the cart, do they feel like their information is secure? And at checkout, are there any last-minute doubts holding them back?
Okay, so you're basically preempting those moments of hesitation.
Exactly. And once you've identified those trust gaps, the next step is selecting the right badges for your audience. Remember, different demographics respond to different things.
Right, like we talked about before, those age and cultural differences.
Exactly. So if you're selling luxury goods, you might want to highlight quality certifications, budget-conscious shoppers, maybe focus on price guarantees and free shipping, technical products. Security badges and industry certifications are probably your best bet.
Okay, so really understanding who your customer is and tailoring those badges to their specific needs.
Exactly. And once you've picked the right badges, you need to think about creating a cohesive visual trust system.
So they don't just look like they were slapped on as an afterthought.
Right. You want them to feel like a natural part of your site design. Use consistent sizing and styling. Maybe even invest in some custom designs that incorporate your brand aesthetic.
Okay, so a polished professional look.
Exactly. And remember, trust badges are just one piece of the puzzle.
Right, they're not magic bullets.
Nope. You need those other trust-building elements too. Things like detailed product descriptions, clear policies, professional photos, and good customer service.
It's all about creating that overall sense of credibility.
Exactly. Now let's talk about how you actually get these badges onto your Shopify store. There are a few different options.
Okay, break it down for me. What's the easiest option for someone who's like not super tech savvy?
The easiest way is to start with your theme's built-in features. A lot of modern Shopify themes have settings specifically for trust badges. You might find them under checkout, footer, or even within specific sections. It's usually pretty straightforward.
Okay, so that's the plug-and-play approach.
Yeah.
What if your theme doesn't have those options or you want more control?
Then you can manually add badges to specific page templates, like your product page or checkout page, if your theme allows for that kind of customization. You usually do this through the Customize option in your Shopify admin.
So navigating through the theme editor, adding image blocks, or custom HTML.
Exactly. And if you want even more features and control, there are tons of great Trust Badge apps and plugins in the Shopify App Store.
Oh, so those can make it even easier.
Oh, yeah. They can streamline the whole process. Some popular ones are Trusticon, Trust Badges Bear, and Avivada Trust badges.
Okay, cool. What if you're like a coding whiz and want the ultimate control?
If you're comfortable with code, custom code solutions are definitely an option. You can access your theme's code directly and add HTML and CSS to display those badges exactly how you want.
Okay, but a word of caution, definitely proceed with care if you're going the coding route. Now, thinking about the technical side, do trust badges affect your site's loading speed?
They can, but you can minimize that impact.
Okay, good, because site speed is so important these days.
Absolutely. So when you're implementing badges, performance optimization is key. Make sure those badge images are compressed. If you're using multiple badges, look into CSS sprites. Try not to rely too heavily on third-party scripts. And always, always test your site speed after you add those badges. Google Page Speed Insights is a great tool for that.
So keeping things fast and efficient. Now let's talk about how to know if those badges are actually working. How do you measure their impact?
Measuring is crucial. You need to know if your efforts are paying off.
Right, you don't want to just assume they're working. You need that data.
Exactly. So you need to focus on your key performance indicators, or KPIs. The big ones here are your conversion rate, how many visitors actually buy something, and your cart abandonment rate, how many people add items to their cart but don't complete the purchase.
Okay, those make sense. What else?
You can also track your average order value to see if people are spending more, maybe because they trust you more. Also, look at time spent on site and your return customer rate. Increased trust can lead to people browsing longer and coming back for more.
Right, so it's not just about those instant conversions.
Exactly. And to really isolate the impact of your trust badges, you need to do some A/B testing.
So basically creating two versions of a page, one with the badges, one without, and seeing which performs better.
Yep. You can use Shopify's built-in A/B testing, or there are third-party apps like Google Optimize. Just make sure to send equal traffic to both versions for at least a couple of weeks. Then you can analyze the data and see the real impact of those badges.
That's smart, so you're taking the guesswork out of it. Now, what about getting direct feedback from customers?
Oh, customer feedback is gold. You can use post-purchase surveys to ask people what influenced their decision. You can also try on-site polls to gauge confidence levels while they're browsing. And pay attention to your customer service inquiries. If you're getting a lot of questions about security or legitimacy, that might tell you that you need to beef up your trust signals.
So basically listening to your customers and using that feedback to make improvements.
Exactly. And if you're paying for a premium trust badge service, you can figure out if it's worth it by calculating your return on investment, or ROI.
Okay, how do you do that?
You basically compare the monthly cost of the service to the extra revenue you're making because of those badges. There's a simple formula for it.
So you can actually see if you're getting your money's worth.
Exactly. And remember, sometimes those trust badges won't have an immediate measurable impact, but they can definitely contribute to building stronger relationships with your customers over time, which is super valuable.
It's about playing the long game.
Exactly. Now, let's wrap things up with some key takeaways. What are the absolute best practices for implementing trust badges effectively?
Give us the golden rules.
Okay, the first rule is authenticity and transparency. Only use badges that you're actually allowed to use. Make sure any certifications are up to date, and link those badges directly to the verification pages. Don't even think about using fake badges. That's a huge no-no.
Right, because faking it will just backfire in the long run. What else?
Next, don't overload your site with badges. Too many badges can actually create distrust and make your site look messy. Stick to 3 to 5 of the most impactful and recognizable badges per section.
Less is more.
Exactly. Quality over quantity. Next, make sure your badges are visually consistent with your brand. Choose styles and colors that match your overall design. Maybe even get some custom designs made.
Okay, so keeping things looking polished and professional.
Yep. And remember, mobile optimization is critical. Make sure those badges are easy to see and interact with on all devices.
Right, because mobile is king these days.
It is. And lastly, think about layering your trust signals. Combine badges with other trust-building elements, like customer testimonials or detailed policy information.
So creating a multi-layered approach.
Exactly. The ultimate goal is to strike that balance between strong security and a positive brand experience.
Okay, those are some great tips. Now, can you give us some real-world examples of Shopify stores that have actually seen success with trust badges?
Absolutely. Let's start with a small business called Wellness Haven. They sell health and wellness supplements, and they saw some amazing results with trust badges. They added SSL and payment badges to their checkout, which decreased their cart abandonment rate by 18%. They also added a money-back guarantee badge to their product pages, and that boosted their conversion rate by 12%.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
Right, and it all added up to a 27% increase in total revenue within just 3 months.
That's awesome. What about a store that really nailed mobile optimization?
There's a clothing retailer called Urban Threads that really focused on their mobile experience. They created this collapsible Why Shop With Us section on their product pages, featuring their trust badges in a nice, clean layout. And they used sticky mini badges throughout the checkout process on mobile.
So those badges were always visible no matter how far down the page they scrolled.
Exactly. And because of those changes, their mobile conversion rate actually became 32% higher than their desktop rate.
That's incredible. What about international stores? Do they need to think about trust badges differently?
Absolutely. A great example is Gourmet Global. They sell specialty foods to customers all over the world, so they got really smart with their strategy. They started using region-specific badges, so customers would see badges they were familiar with no matter where they were located.
Oh, that's clever. So like showing different badges to someone in Europe versus someone in North America?
Exactly. They also displayed currency security badges based on the customer's location.
Wow, so really personalized. Did that actually work?
Oh, yeah. They saw a 48% increase in international orders, and their security-related support tickets went down by 23%, which is a huge win.
Okay, so those are some inspiring success stories. What are the main takeaways for our listeners?
The key is to always test different badge placements. Think carefully about your specific customer demographics when you're choosing badges. Don't just randomly add badges. Think about how you're integrating them, and always monitor your data and collect feedback so you can constantly refine your strategy.
Okay, now for the flip side, what are some of the biggest mistakes people make with trust badges?
Well, one of the biggest mistakes is using unfamiliar badges. If your customers don't recognize a badge, it can actually hurt your credibility.
Because it looks suspicious, like you just made it up.
Exactly.
Ah.
Stick to well-known badges, or if you do use something less common, explain what it means. Another mistake is being inconsistent with placement. If you have badges on some pages but not others, it can make you look untrustworthy.
Right, like you're trying to hide something.
Exactly. You want those core trust signals present throughout the entire shopping journey.
Okay, so consistency is key. What else?
Another mistake is bad visual integration. If your badges clash with your design, it can make you look unprofessional.
So no random mismatched badges.
Nope. Make sure they fit seamlessly with your brand aesthetic. Also, don't use too many badges. It can overwhelm your customers and make your site look cluttered.
So quality over quantity again.
Always. And make sure those badges are up to date. An expired certificate or an outdated badge can really damage your credibility.
So spring cleaning for those trust badges every once in a while.
Exactly. And lastly, don't forget about mobile optimization. Make sure those badges are just as effective on a phone as they are on a desktop.
Okay, so those are the big no-nos. Now let's get a little futuristic. What does the future hold for trust badges?
Well, one exciting trend is the rise of AI and personalization. We might see AI being used to show different badges to different people based on their behavior or demographic.
Oh, wow. So like a tailor-made trust experience.
Exactly. AI could also help optimize badge placement in real time. Another interesting development is blockchain verification. This could provide rock-solid proof of product authenticity and really boost customer confidence.
So knowing exactly where a product came from and that it's the real deal.
Yep. And with privacy becoming more and more important, we're also going to see a lot more privacy-first trust badges. These will highlight things like data encryption, consent management, and secure data handling practices.
Right, because people want to know that their information is being protected.
Absolutely. And lastly, we're going to see trust badges become more cross-channel. So the same trust signals will be present across your website, app, social media, and even your physical store if you have one.
So a unified approach to building trust across all those different touch points.
Exactly. But the big takeaway here is that simply displaying badges won't cut it in the long run. To really build trust, you need a holistic approach that goes beyond just visuals.
It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Exactly.
Okay, so as we wrap up today, what are the absolute key benefits that Shopify stores can gain from implementing trust badges effectively?
The biggest benefits are increased credibility and ultimately more conversions. When you address those core trust concerns, you remove those barriers to purchase, and people feel more confident about buying from you.
Okay, and what are the most important things for our listeners to remember as they get started?
Start with the basics: SSL, payment badges, and a money-back guarantee. Be strategic about placement. Create a comprehensive strategy, not just random badge placement. Track your results. Be authentic. Optimize for mobile. And stay ahead of the curve by keeping an eye on those emerging trends.
Amazing advice. And if someone's just starting out, what's the bare minimum they should do?
Make sure you have a valid SSL certificate, display those payment badges prominently, and add a simple money-back guarantee. You can build from there.
Okay, perfect. Any final thoughts?
Remember, trust badges are great, but they work best when they're part of a bigger commitment to building trust. Provide great service, offer high-quality products, be transparent, and create a professional online experience.
It's all connected.
It is.
This has been such a great deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
You're welcome.
And if you want to boost your Shopify store's growth and implement professional trust badges easily, check out Growth Suite. It's a powerful app designed to help you increase sales with advanced conversion optimization tools, including seamless trust badge integration. You can find it on the Shopify App Store, and you can try it for free. This has been the Conversion Bible.